to the course Group Theory, Spectroscopy and Diffraction Method. Let us start discussing a new topic today. So we are going to discuss Great Orthogonality Theorem. So today our topic of discussion is Great Orthogonality Theorem. This theorem actually deals with the matrix element that is present in the character table. So if we want to write the Great Orthogonality Theorem, it is like it says about the summation means it has to be summed over all symmetry operation. So here R stands for all symmetry operation. Tau I and tau j are two different irreducible representation of the character table. While this R stands for any particular symmetry operation and then it has to be summed over all symmetry operation. M and M prime stands for the column number, the row number. N and N prime stands for the column number. And that is equal to H by Li, where H is the order of the group and Li is the dimension of the group of the irreducible representation we are talking about. And then delta Ij, this is a Kronecker delta. So it says that if I is not equal to j, that means if we are talking about two different irreducible representation, there I is not equal to j, so your Kronecker delta would be 0. Even if I equal to j and your m is not equal to m prime or your n is not equal to n prime, then this Kronecker deltas of delta m prime and delta n prime is going to be 0. We are going to discuss this condition with respect to C2V first. So if you write down the C2V character table, so there are four irreducible representation A1, A2, A1, B1, A2, B2. All are one-dimensional in nature because under every irreducible representation, the character under E is 1. So they are all one-dimensional representation. First, let us consider this irreducible representation and this irreducible representation. So for me, I is not equal to j. So for me, I is not equal to j. Now if you try to apply the Great Orthogonality Theorem over there. So for A1, that is tau I stands for A1 and tau j stands for B1. Now under any symmetry operation, so let me first take E, then I will take C2, then I will take sigma V, then I will take sigma V prime and then keep on adding them. So M equal to M prime. So this is the 1, 1 element, so for me, if I am going to multiply this into this and then this into this into this, this into this. For here, as every element is an matrix element of 1 into 1 dimensional matrix, so here for me mm prime nn prime is the same, but I is not equal to j. So let me multiply them. 1 into 1 is 1, plus 1 into minus 1 is minus 1, plus 1 into 1 is 1, plus 1 into minus 1 is 1. Now that is h by li. Order of the group is 4, li is 1. But here delta ij is going to be 0. Now if you consider the left hand side, you will find 1 minus 1, 1 minus 1, 0. That is because the right hand side delta ij equal to 0 because I is not equal to j. Now let me consider only the A2. Here I equal to j. Now let me consider every element. So here I equal to j. So delta I, actually I am considering delta I and delta j to be the same. Now I have to multiply the matrix element present in the character table and have to sum them up. So I have to multiply 1 with 1, 1 with 1, minus 1 with minus 1 and minus 1 with minus 1. So it is going to come 1 plus minus 1 into minus 1 is again 1, minus 1 into minus 1 is 1. So the left hand side equal to 4. Now look into the right hand side. Here h equal to 4, li is equal to 1, delta ij as I equal to j. So delta ij is 1, delta mm prime, delta nn prime. So this is coming to be the 4. So hence we establish the great orthogonality theorem. To explain the mm prime and the nn prime, let us consider another representation, that is C3v. Even we can consider the D2. So let me consider the D2. So now let us consider again the great orthogonality theorem. So let me again write down the great orthogonality theorem. Tau I r in m prime, tau j r, m prime equal to h by li delta ij delta m in prime, delta n in prime. Now you have to understand that this great orthogonality theorem actually works on the matrix element. So this is the character table of the D2, but here I have not written down the character. Here I have written down the matrix element. As the D2 symmetry operation, D2 point group consists of two one-dimensional and one two-dimensional irreducible representation. So instead of writing the character, I have written down the matrix element because my great orthogonality theorem works on the matrix element. Now if I am considering the A2, so just first the A2, so here I equal to J, as this is a one-dimensional in nature, so there is no question of the m prime and the n prime. So let me take the individual matrix element and then multiply with the same matrix element and sum them up over the entire symmetry operations. If I do so, I am going to come 1 square, that is 1, 1 square, that is 1, 1 square, that is 1, minus 1 square, that is 1, minus 1 square, that is 1, and again minus 1 square, that is 1. So this is 6. Now if I consider this one, H by Li, the order of the group is H. The irreducible representation that I am talking about is Li, dimension is of 1, and here I equal to J, M equal to M prime, N equal to N prime. So if I do so, so this is entirely coming to be the 1, so this is coming to be the 6. So this satisfied. Now let us consider the E matrix element, that is a two-dimensional irreducible representation. Here comes M prime and the concept of M prime and the N prime. Now let me consider that I am taking the I equal to J, that is I am taking the irreducible representation E only. So here I equal to J, here I am multiplying the first matrix element, that is 1, 1, 1, this is 1, 1, this is 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2. So I am multiplying 1, 1 matrix element with the 1, 1 matrix element. So for me, M equal to M prime, N equal to N prime. So and I equal to J. If I do so, so I am going to get the square of 1, square of minus half, square of minus half, square of 1, minus half square, minus half square. If we do so, we are going to get 1, 1/4, 1/4, 1, 1/4, 1/4. So this is going to be 1, 2 and then 3. On the other hand, if you look into the right hand side, this the order of the group is H. The dimension of the irreducible representation is 2. Now here I equal to J, as I have taken only the irreducible representation E only. Here M equal to M prime because I have multiplied the 1, 1 element with the 1, 1 element itself. So here the matrix element 1, 1 is being multiplied with the 1, 1 element. So this is M, this is N, this is M prime, this is N prime. So for me, M equal to M prime, N equal to N prime. So delta Ij, delta M prime and delta N prime is equal to 1. So this is equal to going to be the 3. So left hand side is going to be the same as the right hand side. Now if you consider, if you want to verify, take the same irreducible representation. So here I would be equal to J, but now you start multiplying the 1, 1 element with the 1, 2 element. So 1, 1 element multiplied by the 1, 2 element. Here this is M, this is N, this is M prime and this is N prime. So this is N is not equal to N prime. If you do so, 1 into 0 plus minus half into root 3 by 2 plus minus half into root 3 by 2 plus 1 into 0 plus minus half into minus root 3 by 2 plus minus half into root 3 by 2. If you multiply them, you are going to get 0 because the right hand side delta nn prime is going to be 0. So this is about the great orthogonality theorem. This great orthogonality theorem actually gives us two gifts of the group theory. One is reduction formula. The other one is projection operator. Today we are going to discuss about the reduction formula. The name itself suggests that this is going to reduce one particular representation and going to tell you that what irreducible representation can be contained into that reducible representation. Now we have done a similar thing by our geometrical approach. If you remember that while we were doing the water molecule and while we expanded the basis set of the water molecule, we found out that what the vibrational normal modes of vibrations are being contained or can be expressed by what irreducible representation. So for that we first constructed a reducible representation and then found out, or we constructed a 9 into 9 dimension. We reduced it to 9 one-dimensional irreducible representation, and from there we found out that what are explaining us the translational motion of water, the rotational motion of water, and the normal modes of vibration of water. A similar treatment can be done by the reduction formula. So we are going to explain it with another example and another point group. Let me take an example of ethylene. Let me take the perpendicular p orbitals as my basis vector. Now we know that ethylene is a point group of D2H, but we are going to work on a subgroup, that is D2. So we are considering E, C2Z, C2Y and C2X. Here we must remember that during a symmetry operation, the basis functions or the basis vectors which are actually unshifted is going to contribute into the character. This is obvious because if you are considering two orbitals phi 1 and phi 2, then they are going to transform as phi 1 or the phi 2 respectively if they are unshifted. If phi 1 is shifted to be phi 2 and phi 2 is shifted to be phi 1, then the coefficient is going to come as 0 for the case of phi 1 and 0 for the case of phi 2. So to simplify it, we say that the unshifted basis functions are going to contribute into the character. Now while we are performing the doing nothing operation E, both of them are going to be unshifted in their position and none of them are going to change the sign. So the character should be 2. Now while I am performing C2 along the z-axis, my phi 1 and my phi 2, they are going to be unshifted. Phi 1 is going to be present over on its own position. Phi 2 is also going to be present over its own position, but they are changing the direction, that is phi 1 is becoming minus phi 1 and phi 2 is becoming minus phi 2. So under the symmetry operation C2Z, I must get a character minus 2. Under C2Y, my phi 1 is being transformed as minus phi 2. Phi 2 is minus phi 1. So they have shifted their position, so their character should be 0. Similarly, for the X, phi 1 is being transformed as phi 2. Phi 2 is being transformed as phi 1. So they are going to be, they are not unshifted. So the contribution is going to be 0. Now, whether to understand that this particular representation that we have obtained is a reducible representation or an irreducible representation, we have to square and add them up. If I square it, this is 2 square is 4 plus minus 2 square is 4, that is 8, and this is not equal to h by li. H is the order of the group, li is the dimension of the group. So the order of the group is my 4, so it is not exactly the, this is h by, this is going to be h. This is not the order of the group, this is more than the order of the group, hence this is a reducible representation. Now let me construct the character table of D2 point group. This is A1, this is A2, this is B1, this is B2. And then we have one reducible representation, that is 2, minus 2, 0, 0. The reduction formula actually will tell me that how many times this is a reducible representation and they are all irreducible representation. How to know? Just square them, add them up. 1 square plus 1 square plus minus 1 square plus minus 1 square, that is equal to 4. That is the order of the group. So this is an irreducible representation. So now I am going to find out that which irreducible representation will span this reducible representation. So to know that one, we say AI equal to 1 by 8 summation of R chi I R into chi R, where chi R is the character of the reducible representation, chi I R is the character of the irreducible representation, R is summation over all symmetry operation, H is order of the group, and AI, that is the value of the right hand side, will tell me how many times that particular irreducible representation will come into that reducible representation. First, let me find out the contribution of A1. So this is going to be 1 by H, that is 4. So first I will write the character of the reducible representation. Then I will write down the character of the irreducible representation corresponding to A1. That is 1 into this one, 1 into this, plus 1 into this, plus 1 into this. So this is going to become 2 plus minus 2 plus 0 plus 0, that is 0. So that means in this reducible representation, A1 is not going to contribute. Let me find out about B2. So again, as I have told you, I am going to first write down the character of the reducible representation and then the character of the irreducible representation B2. So 1, minus 1, minus 1, 1. So this is 2 plus minus 1 minus 2 is again 2. So this is 4. So 1 by 4 into 4, this is equal to 1. So that means B2 is going to be contained by this reducible representation, and that would come only once. If we similarly do it for B3, that is so I can just say it as A2, or I can find it out for B1. Actually, if you note down, as we know that there is the principal axis, there is no as such principal axis because all are C2s. So instead of writing A2, B1, B2, let me write it as B1, B2, B3. I must tell you, this Mulliken symbol is just the label. Instead of writing A1, B1, B2, B3, you can write it as tau 1, tau 2, tau 3, tau 4, doesn't matter. So here actually I have found out for the B3. Similarly, if you find out for the B1, that is this irreducible representation, you will find out the contribution is 0. But if you find out this particular irreducible representation, it will come as 1. So that means this reducible representation tau is being contained or being spanned by two irreducible representation B2 and B3. Remember that this is not a simple arithmetic addition, but this is an addition of the matrix. So I have written it as a direct addition, B2 plus B3. So two irreducible representation is going to span these reducible representation. So reduction formula is one very strong tool that comes out from the great orthogonality theorem, and we can formulate easily that the which irreducible representation is actually spanning the reducible representation, not going into the detailed of the geometrical interpretation or geometrical method. Simply by applying the reduction formula, we can easily find out that which reducible representations are being spanned by which irreducible representation. We are going to see the application of this one reduction formula again for the water molecule, and we will see that by using the internal coordinates at one of my basis function, how we can formulate a reducible representation, and from there we can find out that the normal modes of vibrations are spanned by which irreducible representation. So we are going to continue from here in the next